So this is Joshua Hart from JTH Boxing, and today I'm joined by Carl Frampton. Carl, first things first, how are we?
I'm alright, mate. Yeah, doing good.
Obviously, last time we spoke, it was before Joyce versus Zhang. Obviously, that's not what we're here for today. We're here for Usyk versus Dubois. First of all, what did you make of that press conference that we've just seen?
It was good. I enjoyed the press conference, if I'm being honest. There was no real needle or anything. I think both guys were being honest. I think they both look confident. Both genuinely believe that they can win the fight. Both teams believe that their man can win the fight. It was quality. The Prince on stage introducing his son to the world, who seems like a lovely kid as well. At a stage that it almost seemed like the Prince stole the show, as he always does. I thought it was a good press conference. Yeah.
First thing I want to kind of touch on is Usyk. Obviously, there's been all these talks about the Saudi Super Tournament. Do you reckon he might still have one eye on Fury, maybe not have his full attention on Daniel Dubois?
Well, I've asked him that question, and he assures me that no, that's not the case. And I believe him. He said he made a mistake in the 2008 Olympics, where he lost in the second fight and then avenged that defeat in 2012 Olympics. And in 2008, he took his eye off the ball, and he's never done it since. So he just seems like a guy who takes everything, well, although he's a bit of a joker, but when it comes to boxing, he takes it all very, very seriously. I don't think he'll be looking past Daniel Dubois.
Obviously, this is a big talking point. Is obviously the slickness of Usyk, but also the youth of Dubois. Dubois is a very young, up-and-coming heavyweight with not a lot of experience at this top level. How do you think Daniel should approach this fight? A lot of people are saying, he kind of needs to give it his all and just look for that shot to knock him out, because he's not going to win on points, is he?
No, I doubt that he can win on points. He just needs to be, himself and be aggressive, force a high pace if he can. Don't allow Usyk to rest. When he's up close, impose his strength on him and throw him around a bit. And if he's being dirty and getting away with it, continue to do that, and not get frustrated. Usyk's someone who could really frustrate you. And once you become frustrated, it just becomes easier for Usyk. So it's important that Daniel probably be losing the majority of the rounds, but while he's on his feet, he's still with a chance because he's a big puncher, and he's just got to get that into his head going into the fight.
I think this is the first time Usyk's facing a proper young heavyweight. Obviously, he's faced Chisora and AJ, but these are two guys who have kind of, I don't want to say peaked, but they've kind of been at that top level, whereas Dubois has not been there. Do you reckon he'll have that extra gear and that extra hunger to really push through?
Yeah, possibly. And if you look at Usyk's fights, what he's had Witherspoon, he's had Chisora, who he didn't look good against, and then he's had two versions of AJ that were probably not the AJ that we all know. So I'm not tired. I forget the fucking question now. What was the question again? You forget it?
What was it? Do you reckon you'll have that extra?
Oh yeah. I think he'll have to. He'll have to have that, and he'll have to know. But it's a big opportunity for him. I think what he like is there's zero pressure on him, because the bookies don't expect him to win. A lot of the paying public don't expect him to win. But as long as him and his team have confidence, then he can just kind of float in under the radar and do what he has to do.
And do you think this move for Dubois to move to Don Charles' coach, do you reckon this is a very positive move from Don Charles, someone who's very experienced with the heavyweights? Do you reckon this is going to be very beneficial towards his career? But maybe not. Maybe it's a very big fight to have as your first fight with a coach.
Look, in an ideal world, it would have been nice to have a fight against someone else, an easier fight with your new trainer. But I think it's a good move, and Don Charles is a fantastic trainer. It's not me having a dig at previous trainers or anything, but I just think that he
So he suits the style more.
Yeah, he knows how to train heavyweights. He was a former heavyweight himself. He was with Chisora when he gave Usyk problems. I think it's a good move, and I think it could pay off. It may not necessarily pay off just now in this fight against Usyk, but he's young enough to come again, and I think going forward I think it's a smart move.
What would you say, bar the fact of if Dubois loses, he'll lose his mandatory slot and obviously the belt, but apart from that, do you reckon Daniel's not really got a lot to lose going into this fight?
Yeah, he's nothing to lose. Literally, fuck all to lose. he go in as an underdog and just have to perform the best he can and put in the best performance of his life, and maybe even get a bit of a rub of the green at the time, a bit of luck. And sometimes that's what we need at the very high end in sport. And yeah, he's nothing to lose. You have to take these opportunities when they come your way. And he's 25, and in the heavyweight division, that's a young man. Imagine he could almost got, if he wins the fight, which would be a shock to the majority of people, but if he does win the fight, which he can, he will be a unified heavyweight champion at 25 years old. That's quite an achievement.
If he is to pull off the upset, where do you reckon this would rank in terms of upsets in the sports history?
It's big. It would be a big upset, but there's been bigger ones. Genuinely, there's been bigger upsets. And you got to remember that one guy, all both are heavyweight. One is still a cruiserweight, isn't he? And Dubois is a big guy who, one punch can change a fight, and that's all it takes. There will have been a lot bigger upsets in boxing than this one if Daniel can't pull it off.
And what's your prediction come August 26th?
I think Usyk wins the fight. I always had him as a favourite, but just from today and getting a sense of what the teams had to say, I think that I'm not as confident now as I was yesterday. That I think Usyk wins the fight, but I'm not saying it with the same confidence as I did yesterday.
No, I just want to turn away from obviously this fight, and I want to look at Zhang versus Joyce too. Obviously, last time we spoke, it was the weigh-in day of the first fight. I remember your prediction. You said Joyce was going to get him late. Obviously, that wasn't to be. How do you feel Joyce should approach this rematch?
Well, Jesus, he needed to get some good quality southpaw sparring in. It looked like he'd never even seen a southpaw in his life. On that night, he got so many things wrong. But I think he can redeem himself if he makes a few small adjustments. And I think, look, his eye was obviously clear. He wasn't knocked out on his feet or anything. It was obviously stopped because of his eye. But Zhang was the one hitting his eye and made his eye swell like that. Good that there's no real long-term damage there. But I think if the eye hadn't have been closed, Joyce may have come into the fight more and more, and that's what kind of a lot of people expected him to come into it as the fight went on. I think Joyce can redeem himself, makes a few improvements. I think he can force a late stoppage against Zhang.
Obviously, in the last fight that they had between the two, it was the first time we'd seen Joyce hurt. While he didn't get dropped, it was the first time we'd seen him visibly hurt. Do you reckon that shot could possibly have some, not permanent damage, but longer lasting damage?
I don't know, but look, it's a case of we all got a bit carried away with Joyce's chin, and we thought he was indestructible and he can't be stopped, and he just walked through everything. But that was everyone kind of being wrong, really. Anyone can be hurt if they get hit correctly by big guys as well, like Zhang. That was we all get carried away a little bit with Joyce's punch resistance, and saying that his chin is unbelievable, but he was visibly shaken in that fight. I don't think there's going to be any. I don't think it suddenly makes Joyce chinny because he got hurt in a fight. I don't think that's the case.
And do you feel Joyce's professional career is probably on the line going into this one? Obviously, while he's only had 16 professional fights, obviously he is 38 years old. Do you reckon if he loses this one, that may be his time up at the top?
Yeah. Well, not necessarily. I don't think it's completely over, but depending on how the Dubois and Usyk fight goes, if Dubois wins or loses, there's still a rematch there for Joyce. So his career isn't over. Far from it, but it'll be a long road back because he gives everybody a hard night's work. You don't want to fight Joyce if you don't have to. So it'll be a long road back. So it's important that he does win. I think he can win.